Hi and welcome to Westpac's end of day report for Monday the 15th of August. Pretty quiet day today really compared to the last few weeks of real turmoil. Positive sentiment that we saw in Asian markets related to less weak than expected Japanese GDP data actually flowed through into the European morning session. There was no economic data of note here. Markets here are waiting for the meeting tomorrow between Nicolas Sarkozy and Angela Merkel. Particularly regarding discussions related to the issue of these so-called Europe-wide bonds as a means to help resolve the European sovereign debt crisis. The latest media speculation is that Germany is still saying no, we're not going to be part of that, but we'll get hopefully final clarification on that tomorrow. There were some weaker numbers out of the US economy, which saw a little dent in market sentiment, but it only lasted a few minutes. We saw the August read on the factory sector in the New York area from the New York Fed. It fell to about 4 points to around -8. Actually very close to Westpac's bottom of the range -10 forecast. But the headline there is a question about how businesses or how bosses feel about general business conditions. Some of the detail in the report actually was a little bit stronger, including higher readings on shipments and jobs. Still way weaker than it was three months ago, but today's headline did perhaps exaggerate the extent of the weakness in that report. We saw a survey of home builders. It remained very soft, and the housing is not recovering in the US. 2 years into the so-called economic recovery, housing certainly hasn't really participated yet. And we also saw figures on capital flows back for June, which showed a significant slowdown in the extent to which foreigners were buying American securities. Those figures are actually going to be very interesting to watch in the next couple of months, July and August, when we will get figures more relevant to the period when the US dollar was experiencing real safe haven status, particularly related to concerns in Europe and concerns about a slowing global economy. Anyway, so positive sentiment prevailed today. So we've got on European markets a gain of 0.6% on the FTSE, the French market up 0.8%, and the DAX up about 0.4%. US markets around, it's just after 5 now in London. US markets are up around 1%. The Dow at trading just under 11,400. And the S&P is up just a little bit stronger than that. But look, mergers and acquisitions basically, particularly in the technology sector and the banking sector, and also a sense that maybe prices have simply fallen too far too quickly, seems to have dominated today and helped support US markets, even though some of that US data, as I say, wasn't particularly flash. Commodity markets, not too much movement there today. It's pretty quiet. I mean, oil was an exception. Oil was up 1.5% today at $86.70 a barrel. But like the movement in gold prices, 0.25% up. Copper prices 0.2% down. It's nothing compared to the huge swings that we've seen in recent weeks. The Aussie dollar's been drifting higher. I suppose you'd say risk aversion has diminished a little bit today, and the Aussie, which started the London session at 1.04 even against the US dollar, is now around 1.047. So up about almost 3/4 cent. Reserve Bank minutes are out Tuesday, Australian time. We'll get a bit of an update there on a little bit more detail on just how finely balanced the arguments for and against interest rate moves in various directions might have been at the August meeting. And of course, just jumping ahead to next week, we get RBA Governor Stevens delivering his semi-annual sort of testimony, if you like, to the Parliamentary Committee down in Melbourne. That's going to be. We'll get a much better idea then, I think, of just how the RBA's views might be shifting. Remember, of course, Westpac still expects to see a sequence of interest rate cuts starting around the end of this year. And it's interesting to note that several other economists around the traps are starting to think that way as well. Okay, that's it from me. I'll speak to you again tomorrow.